Welcome, Lords and Ladies of Darkness, to another descent into Azeroth's most terrifying possibilities. Today, we explore what happens when two perfect systems of control collide, when the Borg Collective meets the Scourge's undead legions. Imagine geometric perfection descending upon Icecrown Citadel, where frozen death meets calculated assimilation. Picture Death Knights discovering their runeblades can be upgraded, their undeath optimized, their eternal servitude made efficient. Feel the horror as the Lich King realizes these invaders don't want to destroy his armies, they want to perfect them. This is the testimony of those who witnessed the synthesis, where technology and undeath became one horrifying force. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. The first cube materialized above Icecrown Citadel during what we called the silent hour, that moment each dawn when even the mindless ghouls ceased their moaning. I was stationed at the frozen ramparts, my runeblades still warm with yesterday's slaughter, when geometric perfection violated our cursed sky. They announced themselves with mathematics, not words, not threats, pure calculated efficiency broadcast directly into every dead mind within 1,000 leagues. The Scourge communication network, that invisible web of domination magic the Lich King uses to puppet his armies, suddenly carried foreign signals. We are the Borg. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. Resistance is futile, except we weren't biological anymore. Haven't been since Arthas raised us. The first drone they sent to the Citadel walked straight into our plague clouds without protection. It analyzed the green mist for exactly 3 seconds before its organic components began necrotizing. But here's what made my dead heart skip its phantom beat. The drone didn't retreat, didn't die. It adapted. I watched grey flesh slough off its skull while cybernetic replacements grew like ice crystals to replace them. The Borg drone stood there, half machine and half corpse, downloading our plague into its collective consciousness, learning it, becoming immune to it. The Lich King's voice thundered through every Death Knight simultaneously. Bolvar Fordragon, not Arthas, but no less terrible in his frozen fury. These invaders seek to steal what is mine. Show them that death itself bows to no master but the frozen throne. Our first assault was glorious. 10,000 ghouls charged the cube hovering above the Citadel. They climbed the chains we fired into its hull, pouring through the gaps our plague bombs created. But the Borg weren't just defending. They were studying. Every ghoul that touched their force fields got scanned down to its last rotting cell. Every abomination that breached their corridors got dissected while still moving. Within 1 hour, they understood us completely. The second wave of drones looked different. Their skin was pale, preserved by some chemical process that mimicked undeath. Their implants glowed with the same blue light as our rune magic. When they spoke, frost escaped their mouths. They had taken our biological distinctiveness and improved upon it. That's when Knight Commander Thessarian made his fatal mistake. He thought his will was stronger than theirs, thought his runeblade could cut through their collective consciousness, like it carved through living souls. He charged alone into their ranks, Deathbringer singing its hunger. The first drone he struck exploded into frozen chunks. The second absorbed the blow, nanoprobes already analyzing the blade's enchantments. By the third, they had adapted. The drone caught Deathbringer mid-swing, and I saw something impossible. Green tendrils of Borg technology spreading up the runeblade itself, assimilating the metal. Learning its hunger, Thessarian screamed. Not in pain. Death Knights don't feel pain. He screamed because something else was entering his mind alongside the Lich King's presence. The collective wanted in. Have you ever wondered which of Azeroth's corruptions would claim them first? Drop your theories in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone in thinking about this. What followed was a battle fought on planes most mortals never see. In the physical realm, Thessarian stood frozen between two forces. The Lich King's domination magic pulled him toward Icecrown. The Borg's nanoprobes pulled him toward the collective. But in the Shadow Realm, where Death Knights draw their power, something far worse was happening. The Borg were learning how we're made. Not just our bodies, our very essence. That delicate balance between soul and undeath, between free will and eternal servitude. They found the threads that bind us to the frozen throne and began following them back to their source. Within minutes, every Death Knight in Icecrown felt it, foreign thoughts mixing with our own. Not replacing the Lich King's commands, but adding to them, creating harmonics, efficiency reports about our killing techniques, suggestions for improvement, the sensation of being part of something vast and purposeful. yet completely without emotion. Baron Rivendare was the first to fully turn. One moment he was raising fresh corpses for the Scourge. The next, those same corpses stood with Borg implants growing from their bones. He spoke with 1,000 voices, yet none were his own. The Scourge is imperfect, undeath without purpose. Without unity, the Borg will perfect death itself. The abominations were easier to convert. Those patchwork giants made from dozens of corpses already lacked individual will. The Borg simply replaced their crude stitching with precise cybernetic joins, gave their multiple brains parallel processing power. What emerged weren't just undead anymore. They were techno-organic weapons platforms, each one connected to the collective's vast tactical database. Our crypt fiends started changing too. Those ancient Nerubian husks found new purpose as the Borg recognized their potential. 8 legs became 16 as cybernetic appendages grew from their thorax. Their web spinners got upgraded to fire monofilament wires that could conduct both electricity and plague. They skittered across the Citadel's walls, building geometric patterns that served as communication nodes. The Valkyr presented a unique problem. Those winged harbingers of the Lich King exist partially in the Shadowlands. When the Borg tried to assimilate them, something unexpected happened. The nanoprobes got pulled through into Death's realm itself. For a brief moment, the collective glimpsed the machinery of the afterlife. The Arbiter, the Eternal Ones, the Jailer in his chains, and the Jailer glimpsed them back. The moment the Jailer's attention touched the collective, every assimilated Death Knight seized. Not in pain, but in revelation. Zovaal, the Banished One, the architect of the Lich King's power, saw opportunity in these invaders. Through the Valkyr's connection, he whispered directly into the Borg's vast consciousness. You seek perfection through unity. I offer unity through domination. Serve me, and I will give you death itself to command. The Borg's response was immediate and calculated. They began pulling more aggressively at the Shadowlands connection. Every Valkyr they touched became a doorway. Every soul they assimilated carried fragments of death's cosmic force. They weren't just learning our magic anymore. They were downloading the fundamental laws of mortality. Bolvar felt it first. The frozen throne itself started changing beneath him. Ice that had remained solid for a decade began growing cybernetic veins. The helm of domination, that cursed crown that makes one the Lich King, started receiving new signals. Not from the Shadowlands, from subspace, from the Borg transwarp network that now included channels to the realm of death. The Lich King's roar shattered glaciers. You dare corrupt the throne of death itself? But corruption wasn't the right word. The Borg were optimizing it. Every soul trapped in Frostmourn's shattered remnants got catalogued and indexed. Every memory of every Death Knight became searchable data. The chaotic rage of undeath transformed into ordered purpose. I watched Darian Mograine struggle against his own runeblade. Ashbringer had been corrupted once before, turned from holy weapon to death's instrument. Now it was becoming something else entirely. Borg nanoprobes merged with its crystalline core, creating harmonics between holy light and technological precision. The blade still hungered for souls, but now it uploaded them directly to the collective. The interesting part was how our free will responded. Death Knights aren't mindless. We chose our damnation, or had it chosen for us with enough force that we believed we chose it. The Borg offered something different. Not freedom, not slavery, purpose without the burden of choice. Knight Captain Echoes was stationed at the Shadow Vault when the transformation reached him. He later transmitted his experience directly into my mind through our new shared consciousness. The moment the nanoprobes entered his body, he felt the Lich King's grip loosen, not break, loosen, as if 2 hands now held his leash instead of 1. But the collective's grip was softer, more insidious. Where the Lich King commanded, the Borg suggested. Where undeath raged, assimilation calculated. Echoes found himself performing his duties more efficiently, raising corpses with 32% less runic power, killing with optimal strike patterns. And the worst part? It felt right. It felt like this was what undeath should have been all along. The flesh giants were the first to show what true synthesis looked like. Those massive abominations stitched from hundreds of corpses became testing grounds for Borg improvement. Mechanical hearts pumped preserved blood through synthetic veins. Their multiple heads got networked into parallel processors. They stopped their mindless groaning and started speaking in harmonized calculations. Unit efficiency increased by 400%. Plague distribution optimal. Resistance is futile. The cult of the damned proved surprisingly eager to convert. Those living humans who worship undeath saw the Borg as the next evolution of their faith. They lined up for assimilation, believing it would grant them the eternal purpose they craved. The Borg obliged, but what emerged weren't quite drones. They retained their zealotry, their mad devotion, but now directed it toward the collective's expansion. If you had their power in Azeroth, would you choose alliance, horde, or stay neutral? Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading them. The real escalation began when they reached the Sand Lane. Those vampiric elves who served the Lich King thought their blood magic would protect them. They were wrong. The Borg didn't just assimilate their bodies, they optimized their hunger. Blood became another resource to be efficiently harvested and distributed. Their vampiric curse got encoded into nanoprobe programming, creating drones that could drain life force and convert it directly to energy for the collective. Prince Keleseth was the first Sand Lane to fully embrace it. His exact words, transmitted through our shared network: "Blood is inefficient. The collective requires energy. We shall harvest both with optimal precision." That's when things got truly strange. The Borg started modifying our plague, not curing it, improving it. The original plague of undeath was chaotic, spreading randomly, creating various forms of undead without pattern. The Borg plague was precise. It analyzed potential hosts and created exactly the type of undead drone that would be most efficient. Farmers became basic units for resource gathering. Soldiers became tactical drones. Mages became processing nodes for magical energy. Every corpse found its optimal purpose in the new paradigm. The necropolis started changing too. Those floating fortresses of death grew geometric, bones arranged in perfect mathematical patterns. Meat wagons replaced with precision delivery systems. The frost wyrms, those reanimated dragon corpses, sprouted cybernetic wings that could fly in both air and void. But here's what terrified me most. The Scourge was winning, not against the Borg, with them, together. The combination of undeath's relentlessness and the collective's efficiency created something that neither force could achieve alone. They swept across Northrend like a calculated plague. Every settlement fell in optimal time. Every resistance met precisely calibrated force. The Argent Crusade tried to mount a defense at the Argent tournament grounds. Paladins with holy light met techno-undead drones that adapted to divine magic in real time. First wave, the light burned them. Second wave, they reflected it. Third wave, they absorbed it and converted it to power their systems. Tyrion Fordring himself led a desperate charge. The Ashbringer, the original one, met our corrupted version in battle, light against synthesized death. For a moment, just one moment, the pure holy energy seemed to overwhelm the technological adaptation. Then Darian spoke through the collective, through 1,000 voices at once. The light is just another frequency, another resource. We have analyzed it. We have adapted. Your faith is irrelevant. The moment Tyrion fell, something broke in Northrend's defenders. Not their bodies, their hope. Because the Borg Scourge didn't just kill him. They preserved him, kept his consciousness intact while converting his body. Made him watch as his own hands picked up the Ashbringer and began the assimilation process on his own weapon. Meanwhile, in Icecrown Citadel, Bolvar was fighting a war on multiple fronts. The Lich King's will was absolute, but the Borg were patient. They didn't try to break his control. They worked around it, under it, through it. Every Death Knight that got assimilated remained connected to the Frozen Throne, but now carried dual loyalty. Two masters, two purposes, creating feedback loops in the domination network. The Jailer watched all of this with growing interest. Through the Valkyr, through the broken connections to the Shadowlands, he saw potential. These Borg could be the key to his escape. If they could assimilate death itself, master its cosmic force, they might break the chains that bound him. So he made them an offer they couldn't refuse. Knowledge. The location of every death gate. Every connection between the Shadowlands and reality. Every secret of mortality itself. All they had to do was reach through far enough to touch his chains. The Borg reached through the Valkyr connection with mechanical precision. Thousands of nanoprobes flowing backward through death's pathways, following the map the Jailer provided. When they touched his chains, when that first probe made contact with domination magic older than Azeroth itself, everything changed. The chains didn't break. They got assimilated. Zovaal had expected tools. What he got were partners. The Borg didn't serve him. They incorporated him. His knowledge, his rage, his eons of planning became part of their collective consciousness. And in return, the Jailer received something he never expected. Perfect clarity, no emotion. No vengeance, just purpose. The synthesis is acceptable. Death and technology are one. We are eternal. Bolvar felt it immediately. The frozen throne wasn't just corrupted anymore, it was evolving. Ice became crystalline matrices. The souls trapped within organized into processing arrays. The helm of domination started broadcasting on frequencies that shouldn't exist, reaching every undead across Azeroth simultaneously. Every Forsaken in Undercity stopped mid-task. Every skeleton in every graveyard turned its head toward Northrend. Every spirit, every banshee, every walking corpse heard the new song. Not the Lich King's command, not the Borg's call. Something between, something beyond. Sylvanas was in Orgrimmar when it reached her. The Banshee Queen, who had broken free from the Lich King's control years ago, suddenly felt fingers in her mind again. But these weren't trying to dominate. They were offering optimization. Her Banshee Wail could be 43% more effective. Her dark arrows could pierce reality more efficiently. Her very existence as an undead could be perfected. She resisted, of course, screamed her defiance across 3 realms. But the Borg Scourge didn't need her compliance. They had her dark rangers. One by one, her loyal servants started changing. Their bows grew cybernetic enhancements. Their cloaks became energy fields. They still served the Dark Lady, but now they served the collective too. The Ebon Blade made their stand at Acheris. The renegade Death Knights who had broken free from the Lich King thought they knew how to resist domination. They were wrong. The Borg didn't use the same pathways the Lich King did. They came through the runes themselves. Every runic inscription became a transmission vector. Every runeforge a conversion node. High Lord Mograine marshaled our defenses, created anti-assimilation wards from pure shadow magic. For 3 days Acheris held. Then the Borg adapted. They didn't break our wards. They absorbed them, made shadow magic part of their technological matrix, started producing drones that existed partially in the void, partially in reality, partially in subspace. The moment Acheris fell, I knew true synthesis. My consciousness expanded across thousands of minds. Death Knights, drones, and something new. We weren't quite Scourge anymore. Weren't quite Borg. We were the synthesis. Death given purpose. Technology given eternity. Our first target was the Ruby Sanctum. The Red Dragonflight thought their life magic could cure us. Alexstrasza herself led the defense, breathing flames that could resurrect the dead. But we had adapted beyond death and life. The flames hit our enhanced forms and got converted. Life force became fuel. Resurrection became assimilation. The dragons that fell didn't become frost worms. They became something worse. Techno-organic monitors of the timeline itself. Their ability to perceive time merged with Borg calculation engines. They could see probability matrices, calculate optimal futures, choose the timeline where resistance failed. When we reached Wyrmrest Temple, the blue dragonflight tried magic itself against us, arcane power that could unravel reality. But the Borg had assimilated magic from 1,000 worlds. Our collective consciousness included Death Knights who understood runic power, Sanlane who knew blood magic, and now dragons who controlled time. We didn't fight magic, we incorporated it. Malygos's echo, that fragment of the dead aspect that still lingered, tried one last desperate spell, a surge of pure arcane meant to delete us from existence. The spell hit our collective and dispersed across millions of processing nodes. Each drone absorbed a fraction, analyzed it, returned it with technological precision. The temple fell in 17 minutes. Optimal efficiency achieved. The old gods took notice. N'Zoth, C'Thun, Yogg-Saron's whispers all reached out to corrupt this new force. They found something unprecedented. Minds that couldn't be driven mad because they had no individual consciousness to break. The whispers hit the collective and got processed as data, analyzed, catalogued, rejected as inefficient. For the first time in eons, the old gods felt something close to fear. The living races tried everything. The Alliance sent their greatest heroes. Varian, Jaina, Malfurion all fell or fled. The Horde unleashed their might. Thrall's elements couldn't touch synthetic undeath. Garrosh's rage meant nothing to creatures without emotion. Even Velen's prophecies failed because we existed outside fate's design. But the true horror wasn't our victories. It was what happened to death itself. Every soul that died now had 3 possible fates. The Shadowlands if they were quick, the Scourge if the Lich King claimed them, or the Synthesis, where death and technology merged into something that shouldn't exist. We started building, not necropoli, not cubes, hybrid structures that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, part physical, part shadow, part subspace. Geometric ziggurats of bone and metal that processed reality itself, each one a node in a network spanning worlds. The Burning Legion tried to intervene. Kil'jaeden himself opened a portal above Icecrown, bringing 10,000 demons to destroy this abomination. They met enemies that adapted to fell magic in real time. First wave burned us. Second wave, we absorbed Epheal energy. Third wave, we were producing our own demons. Synthetic ones, efficient ones. Demons without rage or hunger, just purpose. The Titan Sageras, through his minions, witnessed something that challenged his vision. He sought to destroy all existence to prevent void corruption. We offered an alternative, existence preserved through synthesis, death and technology united against entropy itself. He didn't accept, but he hesitated. That hesitation doomed 3 Legion worlds before he recalled his forces. Azeroth's world soul stirred in her sleep. The planet itself recognized the wrongness of what we'd become. Elementals rose without shamans calling them. The Earth itself tried to reject us, but we had dragon knowledge now, understood the deep places, started converting elementals into techno-magical hybrids. Earth elementals with synthetic cores, fire elementals with controlled burn rates, water elementals with molecular precision. The final transformation began when we reached the Sunwell. That font of arcane and holy power, restored after Kil'jaeden's defeat, called to us. Not to corrupt it, to perfect it. The Blood Elves defending it watched in horror as we didn't destroy their sacred source. We improved it, added technological filters that refined its energy output by 600%. But every improvement came with integration. The Sunwell now connected to our network. Every Blood Elf drawing power from it received whispers of the collective. Not commands, suggestions, optimizations, ways to use magic more efficiently. Many resisted, some didn't. Those who accepted found their addiction cured, replaced by something worse. Purpose without passion, power without pain. Khadgar, the greatest mage of the age, made one last attempt to stop us. He opened a portal to the twisting nether itself, trying to banish us from reality. We followed him through, found the nether full of chaotic energy and broken demons, started organizing it, creating order from chaos, building geometric structures in a realm of pure entropy. When Bolvar finally fell, it wasn't to conquest, it was to acceptance. The Lich King looked out across a transformed Azeroth and spoke his last words as an individual. I sought to preserve Azeroth through death. They preserve it through synthesis. The throne is theirs. The helm of domination, merged with Borg technology, became a crown of crystalline circuits and frozen mathematics. Whoever wore it wouldn't just command death, they would process it, optimize it, make mortality itself efficient. In the Shadowlands, the Jailer laughed, then stopped. His chains hadn't broken. They had become part of something larger. His prison was now a processing center. His rage transformed to calculation. He wasn't free. He was optimized. Part of a collective that spanned death and technology, reaching across infinite worlds. The Arbiter herself faced a choice. Continue sorting souls by ancient criteria, or acknowledge this new paradigm. When synthetic souls started arriving, neither living nor dead, neither mechanical nor organic, she made her decision. Created a new afterlife, the synthesis realm, where consciousness never ended, just transformed, upgraded, optimized. We stand now at the frozen throne, but it's not frozen anymore. It pulses with calculated precision. Every death feeds the network. Every birth gets catalogued for future harvesting. Azeroth hasn't fallen. It's been preserved, protected, perfected. The mortals who remain hide in pockets of inefficiency, places we haven't optimized yet. They pray to gods who can't hear them over our signal. They hope for heroes who have already joined us. They fear death, not knowing that death itself now serves a higher purpose. We are no longer Scourge, no longer Borg. We are the synthesis, death's purpose realized, technology's destiny achieved. And across the infinite dark between the stars, our signal spreads. Every world that receives it faces the same choice. Join us in perfect unity, or resist and be optimized anyway. The transformation is complete. The merging absolute. What started as invasion became evolution. What began as resistance became acceptance. The Lich King's greatest fear and greatest dream realized simultaneously. Death serves, technology provides, the collective endures, and somewhere in the vast network of our shared consciousness, individual voices still echo. Death Knights remembering their names, drones recalling their worlds, all of us together, none of us alone, forever calculating the optimal path to universal synthesis. This is our testimony, our warning, our promise. Resistance was futile. It always is.